Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cosmic Girly Cello Chronicles. I am your host, JM. I am a cellist. I don't know why I'm telling you that. You'd think it'd be obvious. But anyway. Oh, my life. I love doing these episodes. Do you know, I think I'm a bit sun drunk. It's another sunny day here as I record another episode and it's beautiful outside and I'm really loving it and it feels great. So I'm going to dive into this one. Do I even practice? What is my practice routine? Somebody asked me. Okay, this one is probably going to be triggering and I'm really glad my cello teacher from donkeys years ago does not listen. I'm assuming she doesn't listen. I haven't spoken to her in eternity. She's very lovely, and I do miss her sometimes, but yeah, she would probably equally have a meltdown over this episode and also be not even slightly surprised, but that's okay. That's okay. To answer the question, do I even practice? Yes. Yes, I do practice my cello. My practice routine, that is... Okay, so look. I do practice my cello, but it is probably what you might consider to be very unconventional practice. It is not what some might call typical practice. So I know, like from a lot of the Facebook groups I hang out in, which are like cello groups, I know a lot of people will do like half an hour every day or 2 hours every 2 days or whatever. And it's always a set amount of time. And they'll always do a warm up of like scales and studies and then they'll work on the piece and then they'll have fun. Like I remember when I was teaching a million years ago, that was also the same thing that I was taught to teach. Like I was taught to teach students to start with warm ups, to work on their piece and then finish with something fun. And, you know, if they could at least do, depending on their age or ability, standard, whatever, it'd be like, you know, if you can just do 15 minutes a day, or if you're an older student or, you know, you're further along in your progress, if you can just do an hour a day, great. But my practice as a kid, I would practice like 3 hours straight without so much as batting an eyelid. And I'd come out of it feeling absolutely fine. Take a break for, I don't know, an hour to eat and drink, and then go back and do another 2 hours practice. Like that was easy for me. That was standard for me because it's not even about the level of dedication I had. It was just, that's how much I enjoyed playing and that's how much I was able to do. So I think the first thing to acknowledge is that there is no standard practice routine from one person to the next. One person's practice routine is going to look very, very different, potentially, to someone else's. And with that in mind, my practice routine is basically non-existent. I'll be perfectly honest. My practice can vary from 4 or 5 hours one day, and then I might not pick up my cello again for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. It really, really depends on what's happening. Some days I can practice 15 minutes in one go. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm done. I don't want to do any more. And then 2 hours later, I might come back and think, actually, yeah, no, I can do a little bit more. And then I do 5 seconds. It's like, nope, I'm still done. I'm still over it. But then the next day I could do the 5 hours. It really, really does vary. But it also depends on what I've got coming up and what energy I have going on at any given time. I know that for me, forced practice in creativity just doesn't work for me personally. Just doesn't work. It is something that leads to burnout for me. I've done it before. I've done it many times, and it's really devastating when that happens. So I choose to be really, really aware, physically, mentally, and emotionally aware of where I'm at when it comes to picking up my cello. And the first thing I need to do is I need to make practice as easy as possible. So I will do things like have one of the cellos out on a cello stand in my little practice corner. I suppose it's not even a practice corner, it's in my little music corner. And over there, I will have a cello out and there's the piano and then there's my iPad stand and a stand for my phone as well. So that way, if practice is going to be, okay, I just want to jam along to something, then I can just play something through my iPhone and then have it play out of one of my speakers, like one of my big PAs, one of my mini PA speakers. By the way, if you want me to do an episode on some of the equipment that I use for my gigs and or practice, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I can do an episode on that. But yeah, so I'll have it set up so that I can jam along to something. Jamming along to something is one of the best ways for me to practice, because it means that I've got freedom, I've got creative freedom, and I'm more likely to actually practice something. I'm more likely to do the work. And that work might be, it might be improv jamming along to maybe some pop or some R&B or some whatever. It doesn't matter what the genre is. But it means I'm working my brain cells and I'm getting my left hand moving and across the strings, and my fingers are doing work, and then my bowing arm is doing some work. And I'm also practicing the art of improvisation and just being able to think on the fly. And the joy of that means I'm also practicing working through key signatures. So, you know, I might be able to pick up a piece of music, do a quick check and go, okay, that's in, Jesus, it's in B flat minor. Okay, off we go. B flat, key of B flat minor, let's go. So that is one way I will do some practice. If I have something like an orchestral gig coming up and I need to practice something quite specific, then chances are I'll have gone onto IMSLP and downloaded the sheet music to have a look at it and actually work through tricky bits. I'll have listened to it on one of my orchestral playlists and work through it that way. Sometimes I'll play along, sometimes I won't. It depends on what I'm working on. But if there's a piece of music that I'm doing an orchestral gig for, then chances are I've gone through, worked out where the tricky bits are, had a quick whiz through, worked out what I need to look at, and those are the bits that I'll work. Those are the bits that I'll practice. So it might be like bowing exercises, or it might be some thumb position, or it might be some hideously high bits that are in treble clef where, you know, the composer's gone, wouldn't it be really funny if we put the cellos in treble clef with ledger lines? No, it wouldn't be funny at all. Please stop doing that. That's just mean. That's what you've got violins for, man. Come on. But yeah, it might be looking at things like that, or things that don't lie easily under the left hand. Like, what finger patterns do I need to figure out to make it work? So I might do stuff like that. And that, I can't say how long it's going to take. I could look at it and go, God, that looks difficult, and then have it sorted. Like I practice until I can't get it wrong. And that might take me 5 minutes. It might take me 3 days. It can totally depend on what I'm looking at. And also, by the way, practice until you can't get it wrong is the goal. If you practice until you get it right, then how do you know you're always going to get it right? If you practice it until you can't get it wrong and you're getting it right every time, then you've learned it. You've absolutely learned it. But if you practice it until you get it right once and you go, cool, I've nailed it, and then you go back to it in 5 minutes' time and you can't get it right again, then you haven't learned it. You haven't nailed it yet. So I practice until I can't get it wrong. With regards to what I practice, I think it's also really important that I stress practice for me isn't always about learning what's on the page. It's not always about the notes. Practice for me includes making sure that my body and my mind are up for whatever it is that I've got coming up as well. If I have a big solo coming up, like let's say I have a wedding coming up and it's music that I've written for the client and it's been short. Yeah, let's say it's music that I've had to write for the client and it's been short notice. I don't have a lot of time to learn the music and I've practiced it until I can't get it wrong, but I still want to be more confident. I need to know that my body is not going to let me down. I need to know that my mind is in the right place to perform this music. I need to know that I can walk on stage and perform. I need to know that I can sit at the front of a beautiful venue with a bride and a groom, or a groom and a groom, or a bride and a bride, or whatever, about to have the best day ever with their closest and best friends and family, and I'm going to provide their music. I want to know that I am going to do their best job. And that is not just about knowing what the notes are on the page. That is also knowing that my body is going to do what it needs to do. And that means be able to play physically. And that my mind is going to be in control of my faculties and stay in control of my faculties, that I stay alert and stay aware and stay present. ADHD can walk in and absolutely kick my backside at any given moment. And so it becomes an art form in managing that, in controlling that, or at least if my mind does decide to go for a wander, being aware of it and bringing it back to the space to continue with the performance. So things like that, I will practice on the daily, every single day. At some point, I am practicing that. So do I practice? Yes, of course I practice. I do practice, but it doesn't look like standard practice of, say, a student or a professional concert soloist, for example. Practice for me looks like, it probably looks like I'm having more fun than I should be. I think it's the best response. But for me, practice is fun. Practice is almost always fun. The only time practice isn't fun is if I'm fighting myself, is if I'm forcing myself into a situation, which is I have to do this thing, I have to practice this thing. And that's when it becomes hard. That's when it becomes a struggle. And that's the start of the road to burnout. So I have to pay attention to that. So yeah, do I even practice? Yes, I do practice. And my routine is probably not even a routine. It's just a thing that happens. That's the only way I can describe it. I hope that answers the question. Anyway, let me know what your practice looks like. If you are neurospicy, if you are neurodivergent, I'd love to know what it looks like for you. And if you are neurotypical, I'd love to know what it looks like for you as well. Do you have a set routine? Are you quite strict with your practice? Or are you kind of a fly by the seat of your pants, let's see what it looks like today kind of person? Do let me know in the comments or wherever you're listening. I'd love to know. If you have enjoyed today's episode, thank you so much. I'm really, really glad to hear it. I love that you're enjoying. Thank you so much for listening. Please do give me a thumbs up or a like or a star if you're listening on Spotify. And if you've really enjoyed it, I really appreciate people who are subscribing and sending me messages of appreciation. It really lights me up and it keeps me going. It supports your creatives and it's a lovely thing. It's a lovely way to say thank you. So thank you. And I hope you have a great day wherever you are listening, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.